Jesus was a nice guy, right? Meek, mild, humble, timid. But then in John 19:17, maybe he challenges that idea. And maybe as business owners, we need to challenge our idea of what be like Jesus is. You see, in John 19:17, Thabiso, it's about Jesus carrying his own cross, where he went out to the place of skull. And I just want you to imagine for a second the weight of the cross. A wooden object that was so revered that in those times it was banned and outlawed for Romans to carry their own crosses and for Romans to be crucified. Where a man picked up a piece of wood or pieces of wood strong enough to hold him for days without crumbling, and he did it without grumbling, without weeping, without complaining, and with humility. Is be like Jesus the calling for men to actually be bigger and stronger, physically as well as mentally? And that, my friend, is what I'd like us to play with today. So you work out a lot. You know, we've both got a friend who's a bodybuilder. When you think about Jesus carrying his own cross and the physicality required to do that, what does that bring home for you?
Rob, I think you just painted that way different for me than I always imagined it, because I think with that, I literally just took it into the spirit, and I was like, and God is telling us that we need to carry our own cross as well. And that means that, all the difficulties, and I mean, they do feel like weight on you, right? Like if you have a problem within your business that just wouldn't stop, man, or that just like you're trying to knock in a certain avenue area, it's not happening. And there's that cross that you have to carry, if it's maybe the cross of you having a few people that you have to pay, a few salaries that you have to pay at the end of the month, and that weight is basically on you. That's the weight that you carry. But I think the way you just painted it makes me also feel that, as much as I don't believe Jesus was a bodybuilder and he was in the gym 24/7, but he still did that. So, which makes me think that Tubbs, even you, that sometimes things that you are weak, or sometimes things that you have a small business, or sometimes think that you are not capable of doing a lot within your business, you are still called to carry that cross, even though it sometimes feels heavy and bigger than you. And sometimes it carries you, you don't carry it. So that has all got to me that, we have to learn in the spirit. Doesn't matter how heavy it is to carry that cross. And I want to ask you as well the same, Rob. Where do you feel that you have carried that cross within your business?
Every day of every week, I think, would be the truth. There's, especially what I do, I provide people with advice and guidance that I need to get right. That's a cross. It's a cross that I willingly take, but if I could easily bankrupt somebody very, very easily with the wrong advice and guidance. There's lots of people in my industry who do take their clients backwards as opposed to forwards financially. And so that's a cross that I bear willingly every day. But, the reason I chose this is, I think as Christians, if you're a dedicated Christian, you will spend time in prayer, you will spend time in the Word, you will spend time meditating and talking, as we are now, over the Bible, and we will address our fears and step forwards with abundance and so many things. And that's all about the mental strength that we can build for ourselves. But the thing I've become very painfully aware of recently is the need for that physical strength, the ability to put in the long hours, the ability to be physically resilient. I can sit at this desk for 14 hours in a day. That requires a degree of physical resilience to do that. It's not easy just to sit still for 14 hours and just do in this little box of an office. And that's another cross to bear. But then there's a cost to pay for bearing that cross of sitting here in terms of, your weight or your waistline or your physical health. And I just wonder whether as Christian business owners, if we actually take the physicality of our health seriously enough. Sure, we can fast like Daniel, and we can cut out the rich foods and whatever else, but it's far more than just mental muscle. I mean, like it's having the physical muscle. It's quite interesting that some of the wealthiest people out there are in pretty good shape. That's not by some fluke. And so maybe we need to be better at being prepared to carry our physical crosses. Maybe God's not giving us the opportunities that we're looking for because we're not physically ready enough yet.
Oh man, Rob, I love that because that's right. Like one does feel, and especially now that's been festive, that you work out a little bit less, you eat a little bit more, and it sometimes gets you in a sluggish place. And of course, it's seasonal, that you get out of it. But now I'm imagining, as you were just saying, I'm imagining a business owner whose lifestyle is of the type that maybe is just festive the whole time. That cannot be healthy. And that is also a reason why God can literally hold back some things for us to not reach because we are not physically capable of reaching them and destroy us. Because I can easily now when I MC or DJ go till 12 o'clock in the evenings and then get home, steam down a bit, and then at 7 o'clock I'm up again to go. But I can definitely tell you that if I was overweight and if I wasn't looking after my mental health by spending a whole lot of time in this, I would not be able to do that.
That's it. So the question is, what is it that everybody listening to this needs to go and do to go and build that physicality for themselves to go and lift that next cross or more crosses? More employees is more crosses because that's more people who need to be, spiritually looked after, but also that you need to pay them at the end of the month. More customers, even if it's just to try and slow down our aging so that we can have more of a zest for life and youth about us as we get older. Why would he trust you with more crosses to hold or carry if he doesn't think you'll be around that much longer because your health's not that good? And that, for me, I think that there's often an image of Jesus that we conjure up. And for me, it's quite a skinny guy and quite a short guy and wiry and with a beard. And there's a typical Jesus image. And then when I think about what he's actually done, I can't see how that image can be physically accurate because he couldn't do what he's done if it was.
Allow me to throw this in, right? And I'm sure you've heard this as well, that as he was carrying his cross, there's a certain part where an African man helped him to carry his cross, but it was not like for the whole way, but for a short while. And it brought this to my mind, right, is that it's important for us, especially now that we are concentrating on the physical part of us as business owners, to have someone who can keep you accountable. And for me, that is something that immediately jumped up now, is that, if you have someone to help you carry that cross by telling you, hey man, get to the gym. Hey man, how's your water intake? How's your sleep? Hey man, when last did you do a bit of physical training? So I think we also need those people around us. And I enjoy this. I even enjoy this, that we get to recording this because, this keeps me accountable for so much within my business, within my relationship with God. And now it's just challenged me in my physical part as well.
And you're good in your physical part. I observe you. I know when you're training and where you're training and who with and whatever else. And you were on it all over Christmas as well, from what I've been told. Many of us, and that is myself included, although our mutual friend, Coach Flex, has a whole weightlifting machine and rowing machine, being couriered to my house as we speak. He is taking me under his wing this year. But many of us, I think about Kenneth, who we work with in KingdomPreneur, he's an accountant. He sits at a desk and faces a computer screen for 14 hours a day. There's a cost to it, but also there's a cost in a lack of preparation. What if we get given a cross that we're unable to carry? Or unable to carry like Jesus carried his? Is that really the human being you want to be? Jesus didn't know he was going to have to carry a cross until he actually had to carry the cross physically. It wasn't like somebody gave him a 12-month workout schedule and say, hey, eat lots of protein and bulk yourself up because there's going to be this hard thing that comes physically. Sure, there was warning signs, but if you actually read the New Testament, the warning signs were few and far between until it happened. Are we actually prepared to carry the physical cross when it gets past us? That is the question that I've been wrestling with this, and I'd encourage everybody else to wrestle with as well.
Amen.